Hello and welcome. Today, I want to talk about how a lot of people are feeling. It's something that I see very, very commonly in my practice. It might be, in fact, the most single common thing that people say to me when they first reach out and say, "Hey, Zach, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my career. I'm stuck in my relationship. I'm stuck in my own head. I've been trying to move forward for months and nothing is happening. I don't know what to do. I feel completely, totally, absolutely stuck." And I completely understand, okay? I completely understand why it feels that way, why stuckness is there. I genuinely do. When you're in a situation that isn't changing, when you're trying everything you know how to try and get the results, and they're just not coming. They're just not coming in. When the same day seems to be repeating itself over and over and over again, that felt sense of being stuck is so real. It is a genuine human experience. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that it isn't, but I'm going to tell you something that I think will change the way you understand that experience of stuckness. And once you understand it, you will never quite be able to use the word stuck in the same way again. That is my hope, at least. Here it is. You are physically, biologically, cosmically incapable of being stuck. Not emotionally and not metaphorically, those are different, those are separate. I mean at the level of physics, at the level of matter, of atomic structure, the level of who you actually are. The state you call stuck is literally physically impossible. And I'm here to show you why. So, let's start with what you actually are. You are made up of atoms, approximately 7 octillion of them. That's 7 followed by 27 zeros after it. And they are all organized into molecules, cells, tissues, organs, and the extraordinary biological system that is you and your body, your central nervous system, your immune system, all of that stuff. Now, you've heard that you're made up of atoms before, but you might not know what an atom actually is. And most of us learned in school that an atom is a tiny solar system which has got a nucleus in the middle, electrons orbiting around it, mostly empty space. That model, whilst we were all taught that, is very useful for some purposes, but it's not actually what the physics tells us about how an atom fundamentally acts or what it fundamentally is. And there was a researcher called Dewey Larson whose work was studied extensively in the work of source fields and auras and planes and dimensions of existence. And what they proposed was that a growing body of physics research supports that the atom is not a thing. It's not a thing right here, right now, but it is the energy or a byproduct of motion, of movement. Specifically, it's what Dewey Larson called a unit of compound motion. The atom is not a tiny ball of atomic matter sitting there in space, sitting there in you, making up you. In fact, it is a pattern of movement. It's like a vortex spinning. It's a vibrating dynamic process, which we then perceive as a solid object or a thing like my mug here. Because that's how our 5, 6, 7 senses, 7 chakras interpret it. That's how we interpret atoms and energy. So this kind of train of thought, which we're basing today off, is the model that states that all is in motion, everything is in motion all the time, everything, absolutely everything. It's not that things are in motion or matter moves around static objects, but matter itself, atoms are motion. They're not things, they're not particles, they are motion. At the most fundamental level of physical reality, what appears to be a solid object, stable or fixed, it's actually an ongoing, continuous, dynamic, organic process of movement. Gravity is powering every single atom in your body. Movement by movement, shift by shift, cell by cell. Gravity is keeping the vortexes spinning. It's keeping this motion going. It's keeping atoms together, keeping you in three-dimensional existence, keeping you appearing as a static object, I guess, if you want to call yourself an object, not to objectify, but to a being, that's the correct word, Zach, to keep you as a static, solid being, here and now, not floating off into the ether. Without, I guess, the constant flow of movement, there is no such thing as physical matter. There is no you. Your physical existence is not a static state that persists. It is a continuous action of motion. Your life is a continuous action of motion. You cannot be still. Stillness at an atomic level, it does not exist. There is no such thing as stillness. There is no such thing as being stuck. It is the power of the mind that creates the narratives around a sense of stuckness that make you feel like you're stuck. But in reality, there is no such beast as feeling stuck. It is simply like the absence of existence that is that feeling of stuckness. Existence of positivity, existence of love, existence of something else in the middle. So let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, I've got itchy nose today, hay fever season. And I want to talk about more than you, things that are way bigger than you. Whilst all 7 octillion of your atoms are vibrating and spinning in continuous motion, the ground beneath your feet is doing the exact same thing. You are moving continuously on a moving piece of earth. And the earth rotates on its axis, as we know, once every 24 hours, making a day. At the equator, the rotation means the surface of the earth is moving at approximately 1,000 miles per hour constantly. So right now, as you watch this, as we're engaging, as we're connecting, you are sitting on a surface that is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. And you can't feel it because everything around you is moving at the same rate, but it is happening. It is happening right now, continuously, without pausing, ever. It has been happening for approximately 4.5 billion years, and there is no mechanism by which it is going to stop. There's also no explanation. It just is, okay? It just is. You're constantly moving on a moving object because everything on Earth is moving at exactly the same speed. It appears stuck and stagnant. And as well as this, we've got all the other planets in our solar systems and everything, all the other space matter, space objects that are moving exactly the same pace. The sun, that's not standing still either, that's moving too. And what is going on in our entire sun, the solar system, Earth, it's all traveling through the galaxy as part of this very vast rotating halo, blanket of stars. The sun is moving at approximately 20 kilometers per second, which is relative to the surrounding galactic structure. It's sort of the center of our little universe that we're operating in right now. And the galaxy around the sun is moving constantly. Everything is in motion. Nothing is fixed. There is no such thing as a fixed point in the universe from which to measure a sense of stillness or stuckness, because absolute stillness and absolute stuckness does not exist at all. The rotation of the Earth through space is just another thing. It creates a ripple in the flow of time itself, even though we know time doesn't exist. We call it a torsion field. It's basically like a lawn sprinkler, like pulse of energy, radiating outwards as the Earth spins, which that sprinkler jet touches every atom as a wave of energy, pew, 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 as it goes past, creating this whole ripple effect. And within that, you are still not standing still. You are still not stuck. You are still on a spinning, orbiting, hurtling, vibrating, living planet traveling through the galaxy. That is itself in motion within a universe where everything is at every level, always moving, inside another universe, inside another vacuum, inside another vortex. We are constantly shifting layers and energy consistently. Again, reaffirming that the sense of feeling stuck and stagnant and at a dead end is impossible to truly experience and exist. You are never stuck. Time itself, as we know, is not a real construct. We have labeled time. We have created a sense of time. And this sense of motion goes deeper than the physical body as well, than you being as a human being. And in ancient Hermetic traditions, there was this philosophical lineage that runs from ancient Egypt through to the Greek philosophers and into the foundations of our Western thought. There is a passage that really strikes me as one of the most profound things ever written about the nature of reality. And it appears in Hermetica, and this is what it says. It says that the cosmos revolves with an everlasting movement. That movement has no beginning and it will have no end. Who wrote it? Don't know. But it's all about the cosmos revolves around an everlasting sense of movement. And that movement is not slowing down. We don't know where it begins, and we have no idea where it will end, because it won't. And then even more remarkably, it goes on to say that it is by the progress and movement of time that life is maintained in the cosmos. Time, in its ordered course, renews all things by alteration. When we say that time heals all wounds, when we say that, in time we will get to our greatest success, all of those things, it is not attributing actual time, it's attributing the progress of movement that we experience as time. Time itself is just movement, and it is by that movement, by the continuous turning and progression of time, that life force, you as a vessel, is maintained. Everything is continuously renewed in a sense of time, and this is not just like some sort of I guess, poetic way of thinking existentially about the world. It sort of frames time as not a passive thing that we experience, but it's actually like an event. It's something that occurs inside everything all the time. Time is an active, flowing, dynamic movement. And it's as real as gravity. It really is, even though we've created a label for time, we've created the clock, the movement of energy is just as real as gravity. It's ultimately the same thing, gravity and time, that sense of movement, that sense of operation. Continuously, constantly going. It cannot be stopped, it cannot be paused, and it does not leave anything behind as well. Everything, even static objects, because those atoms are vibrating and that vibration is just movement, nothing gets left behind in the process of change and development and evolution through this energetic sense. Everything that exists in time is being carried forward constantly, including you, including whatever situation that you are labeling, that you are stuck in. When clients come in, say they're stuck. No, the situation is moving with you. It's developing with you as you go. The Hermetic teaching also adds a lot more layers to this that I really, really love. And we talk about time renewing all things by alteration. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about a forced alteration. It's not effort applied. Alteration actually means by the nature, the natural process of change, the nature, I can't even say the word, the natural order of things as nature does itself. It changes and develops and grows and blooms over time. That essence is built into the fabric of everything. Everything has a sell-by date. Change is not something that you have to make happen, because it is what the universe is doing all the time. It is the default condition of reality. Stillness is the thing that has to be explained. We have to label as I'm stuck, I'm still, I'm stagnant, I'm at a roadblock, I'm at a dead end. That's just your way of interpreting and telling somebody what is going on in your life. It does not mean that you are actually stuck and stagnant. It just means that you haven't given movement a chance yet. So, if you are physically incapable of being stuck, because your atoms are vibrating, the Earth is hurling itself through space all the time at different speeds, even at 1,000 miles per hour, but everything's going at different speeds, the sun is going a bit faster, yada, yada, yada. If time is continuously renewing all things around you, then what is actually happening when someone feels stuck? What is actually going on there? This is what I believe, and this is what the physics points towards as well. What we call being stuck is a particular relationship between your awareness and movement. It is not the absence of movement, it is the experience of movement that you are not yet able to perceive or trust. When you feel stuck, something is actually happening, not to invalidate, something is happening. The atoms in your body are vibrating, the earth is rotating, time is moving. The situation you're in that feels uncomfortable is changing. It's changing at all levels that you may not be able to see from where you're standing. But your attention is fixed on the surface of things, on the visible indicators and signposts that appear that things have not changed. But you're thinking from that fixed vantage point where everything looks static. It's like being on a very, very large cruise ship. If you stare at a fixed point on the deck, I don't know, like, I'm not going to use any brand names here, but having a good time and you're looking straight at, let's say, a buffet on your cruise ship, and you're looking straight at that fixed point on the deck, you might convince yourself that you're not moving. And then suddenly you look out the window, you're like, oh my gosh, we're moving on the sea. The clouds are moving. The wind is blowing through my hair. I didn't realize for a sec. Same on an airplane, right? If you're flying and you're not looking out the window and you're just looking down the aisle at all the food coming on the trolley, nothing looks like it's moving at all. You feel stuck because you've got a fixed vantage point. And what's happening is a tunnel vision, narrowed observation. If you could somehow observe the ship from a bird's eye view, you would see that it's cutting through thousands and thousands of miles of ocean, and it's constantly moving all the time. And if the boat is docked, the ocean's still moving around it. There's always going to be a sense of movement. And what we do with our clients is we want to sort of position them away from feeling stuck to in motion at its core, bringing them back to this scientific leverage, where we just need them to pivot to the mindset that what they are looking at is from a fixed vantage point, and the shift that they want is not happening because they're paying too much attention to the fact that it is not shifting. They are not allowing movement and motion into their conversation. When you stop fixating on the one external indicator that appears unchanged, and you start asking at what level is movement already happening, what is already shifting, even when I can't see the results yet, even from a fixed vantage point, what other elements around me are in motion, that's when things begin to change. Because the physics guarantees that something is shifting, energy is in motion, your atoms are vibrating. Constantly is. I'm sure I've made that perfectly clear to you now. It's constantly moving. The only question is whether you are in a relationship with that movement or are you resisting it. Resistance is key. Resistance is something we all do, and it's the experience of being stuck almost always that is at the root of resistance. It's the experience of resisting movement that is already occurring in front of you. And here's what I mean by that. As I've said, your situation is changing, atoms are vibrating, life is moving forward, the field of energy around you is offering you the next step, but there is something in the way here. Usually it's a fear or a belief or a story that you tell yourself or a narrative you're trying to keep up, or an attachment of how things should look, like perfection. That is in conflict with the direction of movement that you're experiencing. And so you stand at the threshold with your fixed view at the next thing, the next opportunity, and you don't move. You don't take advantage of the opportunity. Why? Because you see the gap between where you are and the thing that is pulling you. That creates a tremendous amount of pressure. And that pressure is actually what you are calling stuck. Yeah? It is not because there's an absence of movement. It is the friction of two movements in conflict like this. The natural forward motion of your life and the backward pull of whatever you're holding on to, your past, holding on to those past attachments. Think about what happens when you grip a rope that is moving. If you've ever played tug of war, I think that's what we call it in the UK, but you might call it something else wherever you are in the world. But tug of war, where you've got two people at either ends of the rope pulling the rope, and whoever pulls it over the line wins. If you've ever felt that amount of tension through that rope, the rope isn't not moving. It doesn't stop moving even if there's enough tension there, because you still feel that tension is moving, maybe inches back and forth. What happens? Your hands get burnt, don't they? They rub on the rope. Your calluses come up because you're putting so much applied pressure that it feels like the rope is stuck. It feels like you've got a grip and that the rope isn't moving. But actually what's happening is it's friction and pain, because it hurts the hands holding onto a rope, and that sense of being dragged in a direction you don't want to go in, that sense of straining towards something that isn't happening or not coming because you don't think it is. You're not still. It's the energy of friction. That's all it is. The universe is still in motion. You're gripping something that you're not moving with. You're not moving with it. So what do you actually do when you feel stuck? This is a practice that I've been running with clients that's worked really, really well. I find this really genuinely useful, which is why I'm bringing it to you today. It comes directly from the physics that we've been exploring. So when the feeling of stuck and stagnicity arrives, instead of asking, why am I not moving? Why am I stuck? Which reinforces this idea that you are static. We want to ask a different question. We want to ask, where is there movement? Even though I feel stuck, where is the movement? Not is there movement, because there's always movement, as we've explored today. The physics of it, you're constantly moving and regenerating. So we don't want to look at, is there movement? Yes, of course there is. Where is there movement? There is always going to be atoms vibrating. There's always going to be something changing and shifting and developing and upgrading. So where is that in that space? Even if it doesn't feel like it's yours, where is it? It could be that somebody is doing the exact same thing you're doing in a different lane, somewhere else, in a different country, with more followers, with fewer followers. And it looks like things are still working out for them. Okay, yeah. So there's movement in your industry. If somebody else is doing it, you can do it too. There's movement in your industry. Okay, that dismantles the belief system that you're going to fail, because you're not, because other people can do it perfectly like that in a heartbeat. Where is their movement? Things like that really start to train your reticular activating system in your brain to start to accept that movement is possible for you, and that stuck is not an appropriate adjective, verb, or noun, or anything for where you are. It's not an appropriate label. Where is the movement? At what level? In what direction? Sometimes the movement is internal. Something in your understanding is shifting, even if your external situations haven't caught up yet. You are processing something in your brain, you're doing a lot of journaling, you're integrating something. The internal tectonic plates, I guess, are moving before the surface, your external surface, your masks allow that change to come through. Again, you're still moving, you're not stuck, you're just preparing for the next step. Sometimes movement is what is leaving you, what you're leaving behind that no longer fits you, whether that's relationships or habits or belief systems or identities. Stuff like that could be losing its grip. This process feels like a loss. It feels like grief. It feels paralyzing at times. But the thing is, that sense of leaving is a sense of movement too. It is clearing the way for what's coming next. Sometimes the movement is in what you haven't noticed yet too, like the door that is opening somewhere in your peripheral vision, in your reality, but you are staring at the door that you think should be open, or you're staring at a door that you perceive to be closed. The atoms in your energy field, in the energy field of everything in existence, especially in your situation, are just rearranging whilst your attention is fixed on what hasn't changed yet. The practice that I want you to do is this. Okay. Sit down with whatever you're feeling stuck with, bring it into the present, literally go on a date with an idea or concept that you feel stuck with, have a pen and paper ready and just write it all down. And instead of trying to push through what you're feeling stuck with or force it to change, I want you to get genuinely curious about it. We want to dissect it. We want to find as much clarity as we can by going deeper with it. And I want you to ask, what is actually moving here that I am not giving credit to? What has already changed? Even if it's small, even if it's slight, what has already changed? And what is different today compared to where I was 3 months ago, even in the same situation? Where is time energy doing its work in this situation, even if the results are not visible yet? Because time is doing its own work. It always is. Movement is constantly happening. So let's bring all of this home to land. And I want you to remember me talking about this the next time you feel stuck, because you will, because we all do. It's part of the human experience. I want you to remember these few things, okay? Remember that the atoms in your body right now are vibrating at frequencies that make the most complex things seem simple. You are not resting, you are never stuck, you are never stagnant, because your atoms have never rested. They are, in the deepest physical sense, the very definition of movement. Remember that the ground beneath your feet is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour and hurtling through space at 67,000 miles per hour, traveling through a galaxy at 20 kilometers per second. The Earth has never, in its 4.5 billion years, ever held still for a single moment. Remember that time, according to both the ancient philosophical texts and the most current scientific research, has decided that time is not a container that you are sitting inside of. It is an active, flowing, renewing force of energy that is continuously carrying everything forward, including you. And remember that what you're calling stuck is not the absence of movement at all. It is the experience of movement that you are not yet in a conscious relationship with. It is the friction of resistance, and resistance is something that only you can notice, examine, and release. You are not waiting for your life to start moving again, because life is already moving. At every level, from the quantum to the cosmic, from the vibration of your atoms and to the orbiting of all the planets, you are in motion. The only thing that remains is to ask yourself, what am I holding on to that isn't moving with me? And then very gently open your hand and release it. Thank you for being here. I wish you well. And remember that we are all moving through this thing called life together.